Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Nate.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm excited now. This is going to be a good podcast.
Man.
This is going to be fun.
I feel like it is.
Okay, so I'm...
Silence my cellular device. So
Thank you. Yes,
happens.
come on.
All right.
I'm sitting
It
down.
is silenced.
I got to intro you. You got to stop talking just for like 10 seconds.
That's going to be tough.
Take 2 breaths. I'm sitting down with Andrew Orr.
I'm so sorry.
He's not holding in a sneeze. He's holding in words, which looks like he's holding in a sneeze.
That's very true.
Welcome to Shoot the Breeze, a podcast that celebrates the messiness of life, relationships, and Christianity, featuring my wife Lacey and myself, Nathan. It's creatively titled because it will be just us shooting the breeze, sometimes with guests, while occasionally saying something important. We hope you enjoy. Andrew Orr, you're the media director. Creative director?
Creative arts director.
Creative arts director. Okay.
Yeah.
So, creative arts director here at HCF.
Mm-hmm.
You were trained at Gateway.
I did.
Which is a Robert Morris production.
It's Robert Morris's church, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also you have is it a degree in radio, TV, and film?
It's an Associates of Applied Sciences in Radio, Television, and Film Production.
Okay.
So the church technical training and the live production training really was a gateway. And then, fell in love with that. And I fell in love with writing and like making movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so then I went to get my associates in film, basically. It was my focus. Okay. But it covers radio and television as well, because at a community college, you can't just dedicate one entire degree to just film. So
right. And I was looking at your website. Speaking of your website, mm-hmm. It is livingpictures.us?
Livingpicture.us.
Thank you. Yeah. Don't go to the other one.
No.
Do not.
Actually, I don't think it exists, because I think I typed it in one time and it was like 404, and I was like, good. But I should buy that one too.
Living Picture.
Yes.
Singular. .us. I was looking, you have like a script, like an award-winning script.
I do have an award-winning script. Yeah, my co-writer and I won the Dallas International Film Festival screenwriting competition in 2020 for our script entitled Greenwood, which is about the 1921 Tulsa race riots. Okay. I don't know if you want me to go into that at all, but that is this story. Yeah. Okay. So, it won grand prize. So.
Is there anywhere that people can read it? Because obviously it hasn't been produced.
It's available on the Blacklist. You do have to have a subscription, like as a producer, and I don't know what that fee is or anything, but it's available on Blacklist, and that's the only place that we have it out. Okay. Even though it is copyrighted, we're just very careful about it because we're trying to get it sold.
Sure.
So
yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's neat.
Yeah, thanks.
No, so
it was cool, super cool.
Oh yeah,
put that on my resume. Award-winning screenwriter.
It was also, but it's also not just the Dallas. Like, it's been in several.
It has several. It was in
festivals. That's the word.
A couple of festivals. One festival in the LA area made it to quarterfinals. Made it to the semifinals in a New York area competition, and then we won this small little independent, something. Got nothing for it. It was kind of just like credit for saying, hey, it won another prize.
Sure.
So, but I mean, it made it to the quarterfinals in some pretty large competitions, and the Dallas Film Festival is an international competition. So
that's cool.
That alone, still super cool, because I actually got the opportunity to go run camera for our news production team from when I was in school, and getting to run camera just for someone else to be a reporter and interview these directors and their screenwriters, as because their movies were premiering or whatever. It was super cool, and I think it was no joke the semester prior to actually writing the script.
Oh, really?
And so that semester I was like, this would be so cool to be a part of and like be involved in. And then 8, 10, 12 months later, like winning that prize and like that title was just it's kind of surreal. It was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
It literally means nothing to anyone else, but I'm like, you know what? I did it. Come at me, bro.
That's awesome.
So
no, and then did you guys submit it, or did it get submitted to? I was I thought there was something in LA that it was.
Yeah, that's the one who won quarterfinals at the LA Film Festival.
Okay.
And then it made it to semifinals somewhere in New York, in the New York area. So
that's neat, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you you are in the church. You in talking with you, you super enjoy like live production. Like that's your gig, right?
I love live production.
Like stage.
That's my gig. Like it's a passion. My like ultimate goal is film, like, narrative.
Okay.
But I love putting together a live production, executing it well, and just watching everything run smoothly is so satisfying.
Do you have anything that you like looking at a live production? So you have so many things. You have behind the stage, you have lighting, you have audio, you have cameras if you're doing cameras. Is there anything in particular that you're like, oh, this is my gig? Like this is the thing I'm most passionate about.
Oh, sound. I think
really?
it has changed from camera to sound. I love running camera. To me is so cool because you can throw whatever into different perspectives, especially when you're running a handheld and you can kind of run around everywhere, capture audiences, congregation, whoever it is. And but sound, because I love music, I love to worship, and so like when there's a good mix and it is no joke music to my ears and it hits right, it hits and that is so satisfying. And then I get way too into it and sometimes get distracted and then the mix gets off a little bit and I'm like, nope, fix that, and then it hits again and you're like, hallelujah. So sound, I think, is really the point where I love to be, because I love to be in the middle of everything too.
Okay.
And like experience it. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so sound, and then what made the shift from like camera to the sound?
Just as more as I got to, I play 3 instruments and I'm learning a 4th, and so I play drums, acoustic guitar, bass, and then I'm learning piano. And so the more that I sat down and worked on instruments and learning and not just being able to dabble, but really learning everything. And the more I got to play drums in a church setting or whatnot, the more just I would go to concerts or services and just hear a bad mix and be like, I gotta fix that. Like I don't want this to distract anyone else. So it's a want not to distract people.
People are
from what
not
they're there to
meeting Jesus.
do. People are losing their salvation, and you're over there like, I like hearing the bass. No, sir. That's why evangelicals exist.
Amongst other reasons.
But mostly, I mean, we can all agree.
So
It's all the audio mix.
oh goodness. Sorry, I was
Try to
gonna
get that back on track.
I was gonna make a joke about like Judas didn't. It wasn't about selling Jesus out. It was when Jesus was preaching. It's like audio. It's off. I'm out. Anyways. So,
Judas was like, Peter, what the heck is that house mix? What is going on, sir? No, I'm done.
all right, I'm gonna get us back on track. On the train and on the track.
Okay.
So
get this train back on the.
Yeah. So you, obviously, it's funny. I feel like I'm talking to a doppelganger because, so I started playing the drums at 8. Mm-hmm. So that's the one I'm most proficient in. Mm-hmm. In college, 2004, 2002, I started playing guitar, and then least of all piano. Mm-hmm. And so it's hilarious that you're in media.
Yeah.
You play drums, guitar, and learning piano.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And like we talk about that almost weekly, like kind of go back and forth with that. Yeah.
So you come in, you're coming into being a media director, obviously at a smaller-ish church than where you trained in.
Right. So yes, this church is significantly smaller.
Right.
Than Gateway. When I was training at Gateway had 4 campuses. Now they have, I want to say 7 or 8 across Texas, and then there's a plant in Arizona, and there's an extension campus in Wyoming, Jackson Hole.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so to go from that to, a congregation of maybe 700 people on a holiday service,
Right.
is different training wise, but not from where I came prior to this job.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so coming out of really coming out of high school, like I knew I wanted to go into media and everything, and I had been training with Gateway and volunteering with their tech arts and stuff, and learned a lot there. And then I joined. I stopped going to Gateway Church. My family's attendees, but I personally stopped going to Gateway to find a smaller community because I needed a smaller community at that point in my life for my faith walk. And I started going to a church that some friends of mine had been going to for a while. That was a plant from a Connecticut church, and I got involved in the tech there, and then in the worship team there, and I was involved there for about 4 years, 3.5 years, 4 years. At the point that they said, "Hey, we want to bring on someone part-time as creative coordinator, and we think that you're the guy for that." Mm-hmm. So then I started with them as the creative and media coordinator, and basically I was just paid to do what I did every week.
Right.
That's literally all it was. I had no authority. I had no decision-making factors. I don't think I made one decision the entire time I was there.
Okay.
So it was literally just like, you're going to be a paid volunteer now, is all you are. So.
That's actually nice, though.
Well, but then there's staff expectations as a paid volunteer.
So you have all the responsibility but no authority?
Yeah.
Which is amazing position to be in.
No, it's great. I mean, I was already pretty much leading the tech team and coordinating and scheduling and training and all that. And then, so there really wasn't any change other than I saw, another paycheck in my bank account every Friday.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're coming in, you're doing media for churches. Mm-hmm. That's your passion. That's what...
Yeah.
I would even venture to say God has put in you and has been part of your design and training as to who Andrew is.
Oh, yeah. No,
right?
I would agree. Absolutely.
Right? So here's my question for you, is why, like with tech and stuff, it's so stinking expensive, and I'm not even saying that as in you can buy cheaper stuff and get away, right? Both you
technically could.
No, but both you and I know there is, with expense, there's quality factors in it, and longevity factors. Mm-hmm. And so here's the question that I've heard posed is, but Andrew, do you understand that, okay, we could just, why don't you throw up like a cheap, whatever, like an iPhone or just a cheap camera photo? Because do you understand how much money goes into all of that? And it could be shifted into other areas of the church. So why...
This is the conversation I had at that church every other week.
No, okay, so it's
just like,
honestly,
why can't we do it with this? Because it doesn't look good. If you want to draw people in, and you're talking about the appearance of everything in terms of media for churches, or just in general, like the appearance of really anything that you put out and you publish, right? So,
because okay, my question is, well, I'll let you answer. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, like this, like thing irks me when people ask me like, why can't we just use a phone? And it's entirely a capturing your audience aspect, because believe it or not, people know the difference between a 4K, consumer grade DSLR and an iPhone video. Mm-hmm. Maybe not shot by someone who's a professional. Like I think that I could put in front of you a video made on cinematic mode on iPhone and with our 4K DSLRs, and you might not be able to tell the difference. Well, because I've been doing this for a while.
Well, and
when you're talking about something
live production is different than like being able to edit and being able to get your angles and shots, right?
So when you're talking about live production and to keep people involved or to get them interested and to get them actually into services or into wherever it is, the amount of time that you spend prepping will be revealed to the customer by the quality of your work. Mm-hmm. So, and I say customer, consumer, whatever you want to say. So if you take 15 minutes...
Are you calling new people customers now?
Customer or consumer... I say customer because I also do a lot of retail work.
I was going to say, you have your own private...
with retailers and restaurants and everything like that through private work and everything. And
well, the truth is...
But if you set up an iPhone and you spend 15 minutes on it, it's going to look like a 15-minute video. Mm-hmm. But if you take the time, you learn the tactics, you plan with the right equipment, you plan with the right lighting, the right process, the right structure to your entire video, that video is going to resonate with people. It's like when people come to me and say, "Oh, how hard is it to do your job? You just push a button." I was like, "I'd like to see you try, because this took 3 years of education. This took 2 years of technical training. This took trial and error and free project after free project after free project until I had $50,000 worth of projects that I did for free." I mean, I love when people tell me, "Well, we just push a button, right?" Sure. Go with that and see how that works for you.
I want to tell you a story.
Tell me a story, Nate.
So,
am I gonna walk out?
No, you're gonna be so proud.
Love it. Let's go.
Okay. So, one of the pastors I worked with and I was the media director with, he had volunteered me to edit someone's video for them.
So you're voluntold.
Yep. And I was paid. So like I was paid. Right, but I still had other responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so I asked him, I said, "Hey, listen, with the time and everything it takes to edit, what do you want me to drop this week to be able to fulfill that?"
Sure.
And he's like, "No, you just have to do it." And I'm like, but it's gonna take me probably about 6 hours to from first edit, drop in file to compression and render.
I think I know
render
the
and
story.
compression. Yeah. And so he's like, "Oh, we need to get done." I told the guy we could do it. And I was like, "Okay." And I said, "But it's not going to be quick. Like it's going to take hours." And so he was like, "Oh, it's not going to take that long. Go get it done." So I moved my computer into his office.
Yes, you told me this.
And I edited it in front of him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just showing you
The
how
time
long
that
it takes."
takes.
Yeah. He never volunteered me to do anything else again. But I don't know if I would recommend that to anyone. Anyways, but the point is it's funny. Well, it's not going to take you that long. Okay, well then why don't you do it? If it's not going to take me long, it's not going to take you long.
My favorite phrase to hear from people is, "Can you shoot me a quick video?" No.
Speaking of which,
No, I can't.
I need
Nathan, I will get up and leave. I will.
for missions.
No, I
Just super
will.
quick.
I've already been voluntold to do one.
So with this, yes, quality, all of that. You're trying to draw customers in. Here's the deal. I actually have zero problem calling, like in the Christian realm, people customers, because the reality is we have the best product someone
100%.
needs, right?
Absolutely.
And so it could sound derogatory, but really you're looking at it as, listen, in marketing and video and production, this is simply the vernacular that we use. So with that, yes, you want people to come in, have the best, highest quality experience. So the pushback that one would get is, but now, and this is especially true in the last 2 years, people aren't in real community. How come you're contributing to someone not attending and being in person, and you're just saying it? Basically, you're allowing them to Netflix church.
In the last 2 years, yeah. I've had so many discussions with people over churches that have gone all online or still offering online services, or, I know of some churches that completely cut online services after about the first year. They said, we're not going to live in fear. We're going to live in trust in the Lord. We're not going to do online services anymore. You're welcome to join us. If not, we hope that you really do find a church that you find the Lord in. But this is what we're going to do.
Right.
Right. And I don't know. I wouldn't personally say if there's anything wrong with one or the other. I think if you come out and outright say we're going to live in fear, and that's why we're doing this, that's a heart issue and that's a faith issue. I look at it as my job is to be sure that these people who are preaching the gospel see that spread as far as we can technologically make it happen. Okay. So when we have 13 people tune in online, or when we have 130 people tune in online, well, guess what? That's 13 more people than we touched in-house, and that's 130 more people that heard our message. Like, it's just, it goes. And you don't know how many people are in that household. And, people get, you can look at statistics, analytics all day long on streaming services, on Facebook, whatever you want to sit, wherever.
Right.
You don't know how many people are in those households. You don't know how many people are saying, I love this service, and they've had these people over every week. And it's like, well, I love this. I'm going to invite another friend. And then suddenly, well, this one household that we're going to see in this statistic actually has 80 people in it because they started like their own house church with us. Okay. And we just don't know about them. You have no idea who and how many people you're touching and you're spreading the gospel to with online. There's also a form of relevancy that you have to maintain. And if you don't have online service, or you don't have any social media presence, then unfortunately you're just not relevant in today's day and age, because it's an age of technology and it is an age of social media. And if you cannot keep up with it, you do go down the drain. Now, I'm not going to say that as a church you would go down the drain, but that's kind of part of the pitch to business owners when I tell them about social media. No, for real, is like you got to stay relevant on social media because that honestly is going to be a chunk of your business.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is one of the many resources we make available for free at our website, cultivaterelationships.com. Our resources have helped people grow in their relationship with God and others. We've seen people set free from uncontrollable anger and paralyzing fear. We've witnessed estranged family members be reunited after working through our freedom booklet. We've helped people build healthy relationship and coping habits through our coaching videos. And all of these resources are made available for free because of the generous support of people like you. If you would like to become a partner, please visit cultivaterelationships.com/support. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. I'm going to agree with you in that you look at Paul and he would, at the end of some of his letters, I think it's the one to Galatia, I believe it is, where he says, hey, pass this on to Ephesians, pass this on to Laodicea, pass it on to Cappadocia. Like he says, hey, pass this on. And I view that as, and especially with the Roman roads, how that was a massive technological advancement for them. And so being able to travel on clean highways quick and being able to pass messages in letters or sermons in this case, would be the equivalent of posting things online, right? Passing it on. So when it comes to media advancement, I'm all about it. You can look back in history with the stained glass. So the majority of history, or the majority of people, specifically in the medieval times, didn't have an education. They couldn't read. So they would learn the Bible stories through stained glass. They, so it would play out the stories. My goodness, is it Gutenberg Press? So many advancements in history, right? That would push forward the message of the gospel. And I view the internet as this. It's a neutral. It is a neutral medium, used for good or bad. Now, so I totally agree with you with pushing things out. Here's where I'm gonna ask you push back.
Okay. Conversations.
Do you think that a church has to do that?
Do they have to? No. I mean, no one has to do anything. I think that there's an expectation, and that's not to say that churches wouldn't survive without doing it. I feel like churches really like mega churches like Hillsong or Life Church or Gateway, they could stop all social media, all digital production, only go, never offer an online service, and they would have no tarnish to their attendance or anything like that. But it's also been decades and decades and decades of building up the community and the fellowship and the familiarity, right? And if our goal is to reach, then everyone who's not walking into this door is an opportunity for us to reach. And you can do that in a few ways, because you can do it through community. You can do it through community outreach, which we do great community outreach here. You can do it through social media. You can do it through print, whatever you choose. Yeah. Social media is the most direct, the quickest way to get there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you have to do it? No. Should you? I think there should be a high consideration of it.
Okay.
You know, absolutely.
And I like that. I like that message. Hey, listen, at minimum, pray about it. Pray about your reach. Pray about if this is...
Is that the right avenue that the Lord wants you to take your message through?
So you trained at Gateway.
Yeah.
Massive church. How many in attendance? Give or take. Ballpark
On a weekend?
Ballpark it.
At the South Lake campus alone, between 5 services, they have about 20,000 people.
Okay.
So that's at one of 7 campuses.
Right. So you have that. You mentioned Hillsong. Massive church, especially
Enormous.
globally.
Worldwide church, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Should that be the way church is done?
See, I personally have never attended a Hillsong service. Okay. I feel like I can speak for Gateway. Like, I have never seen anything negative come out of Gateway, like we're seeing come out of Hillsong now. Gateway has never like pushed its way. I am super cautious about like worship music that's released nowadays.
Oh, okay.
As much as I love Red Rocks, and as much as I love classic Hillsong, because solely because of what we have seen come up through pastors who fall into the celebrity lifestyle. And you have celebrity pastors or people who are very, very, I cannot think of the word right now. They're very mixed. People have mixed opinions on them, like Todd White.
Yeah.
People have mixed opinions about Todd White, about, so I think that there's, personally, when I look at Gateway, like, I like that. I think that they're doing it right, 100%, but I can't speak into, Hillsong like that. I can't speak into Transformation Church like that.
Let me narrow the question down a little bit more. Should churches be that big? Maybe that's a better question. Maybe that's more my...
I think everyone's walk with the Lord is different.
Okay.
And I think people are going to find the Lord in crowds of 100,000, and I think people are going to find the Lord in crowds of 10. For me, I'm a crowd of 10 kind of person. Okay. So, like, HCF, probably the biggest church I could ever work for. So, or ever... like direct tech, be staff involved.
Yeah.
Anything bigger than this, and I, first of all, don't know if I could handle the balance between making sure Sundays run well and my own walk. But then anything bigger than this, and I really just want to be involved. I just want to be in the church. I want to be volunteering and then go into a life group and then go home.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very much like I'm a close community kind of. I had to say close community Christian, We'll see, but I mean...
That's why there's exvangelical.
That's why. I am why there's exvangelical.
You are the reason.
Sorry, I just made a couple of y'all lose your salvation. That's on me.
So
worship leader probs.
Here's the deal, though. You have people... who you know for a fact, okay? Mm-hmm. You know this.
Yeah.
They get their one, you know what, man, I was scrolling through my Instagram feed and there was the perfect Furtick quote.
Yes.
And here's the, Andrew.
Oh my gosh.
I watch my pastor, here's the deal. I'm the priest of my own home, and I bring I sit and I worship God as the worship team's on TV, and then my pastor, and then, but I'm able to go to the bathroom when I need to. I'm able to go, and just, and so my small group is the people that, when I hang out, on Saturday nights, we go to the bar and, it's like a community group. And so I don't understand why.
Is it though?
So
is it a community group?
No, this is the real question is how much of what I used to do and what you do, where do you, these are the questions I had to wrestle with is, am I really contributing to a terrible
excuse to be able to stay home,
or exactly to what you're saying is, no, I am getting the gospel message out.
Yeah.
I
love to watch our Facebook comment stream and see people respond, "Hallelujah, Pastor," or whatnot. And like I said, I'm not really a numbers person, but to look at analytics and see that we had 50-something people tune in here and 70-something people tune in here, like that, that encourages me. Like, people are there and they're listening. You know, aside from a personal relationship with them, if I have a personal relationship, I do have this, but outside of what I can do here, unless I have a personal relationship with them, I have no other influence in their relationship with Christ, right? My job is to get this message that is easily accessible to me because I'm here to them as best as I know possible. And then hopefully, you know, that either plants a seed, or if I know them, I can take that and kind of run with it a little bit and talk to them about it. So yeah, I totally understand, like, there's that struggle between, that kind of wrestle between, like, am I contributing or am I enabling?
Right.
And it really is a mindset of, why am I here? Why was I called here? And was I called here? Did I come here just for a job, or was I called here to contribute? So, and I know, like, I would not, like, I lived in Fort Worth my whole life. I had a Target 10 minutes away. I have to drive to Target 45 minutes. You think I would have done that voluntarily? No. No. I was called here. And so, because I know I was called here, like, I know I'm contributing.
Right.
And I don't know if I don't think there's been a doubt in my mind about that. So
you're basically saying, listen, I'm my job, what I feel called to, is putting the content out there. I mean, most minimalistic. I'm summing up what you're saying. Like, this is my responsibility, is what I feel like God has led me into, is to get content out. Now, it's interesting, like with the Gutenberg press, you know, one of the biggest things with that, or even what I believe Luther did with the German Bible, the big pushback was, if you allow anyone to read the Bible, they could come up with their own beliefs.
yes, they could.
Right. And so it is there's a danger in the internet.
The interwebs.
There's these things that I think you're right, where what I'm called to, what my responsibility is to get Jesus out to people. Their responsibility is what they do with that.
Yes.
And so,
you know, and I feel like that's just kind of ministry, is we go and we do as much as we can to give people the resources and the tools to implement things in their lives, but what they do with their own time, with what they do with what they've learned or what they've heard, is between them and God at that point. You know, we can pray and just continue to serve diligently and to expand the kingdom. And obviously there's things you can do, like following up with them. And I'm putting those like small, like those things, not small things, but I'm putting those other things aside and just on a kind of base level, like once we put it out there, like that's up for them to do what they want with it. And we just have to pray that they do what the Lord's will with it.
So I have two questions. I'm debating which one to go with. So how do you justify you work for a church in what's called the Hill Country of Texas, geographical location, right? And obviously there's only so many people that you, outside of going to other churches and being like, hey, you should come to our church, which is terrible. Right. You're only gonna be able to reach so many people. Yeah. Why? Well, hold on. So let me. Okay. So why do you, Andrew, feel like it's your job to go beyond what is your area, your geographical location?
Because it was the disciples' task to go and spread and make fishers of men when Jesus left. Okay. And if we are children of God and we are disciples, then we have the same duty. Do you think that's the local church's job, or is it like sending people out to those other areas? I think that's what having a relationship with Jesus is. So I think the local church is a great organization that can bring things together and coordinate and facilitate. But at the end of the day, like, the church isn't us. It's not a group of people. that we go meet in a church, but we are the body of Christ. And so we ourselves are the ones who have to execute the church, I'll say, or execute not the actual church.
Not shoot the church.
But, can we rewind that and just cut it? But anyway, you know what I'm trying to say.
I don't.
We're the ones who have to go out, make, be fishers of men, go out, spread the gospel.
Okay, so looking at whatever websites, social media, they're a medium. They're not a
large.
They're
large fries.
Let's at the best they're neutral. It's what I do with them.
Yes,
they're not neutral. But anyways,
they're not neutral.
So here's Andrew. I have so. I'm thinking of what maybe someone might say. Okay, Andrew, I love what you're saying. You're so right. I have a TikTok ministry.
Yeah.
And I just spend I take what you guys put out on site and I just repost it on TikTok, and then I repost verses that I find to go with it. And that's my ministry. And that's what thank you for agreeing with me and really giving me essentially proof of what I do.
I mean, good on you for putting verses up and trying to be a good digital example for people, but what are you actually doing?
Andrew,
are you?
I'm witnessing to people on TikTok.
Oh, you're witnessing to yes, you're sitting in front of your phone and not going to them and talking to them face to face and praying for them and interacting with them and really being the ones. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I offend you?
My 15 followers.
You're 15.
No, okay, but Andrew, I'm serious question.
No, I totally, dude, I 100% understand where this is going, 100%, and it's the white girls who put the verses in their bios and stuff and saying, oh, the Lord blessed me today, and it's just look, the number of times I hear about that, and it's just virtue signaling, dude,
So, okay, so what is the balance, to you, where you have the best cameras, best media? Okay?
Yep.
And I guess what does the balance then look like to you in terms of, listen, I'm going to get the best that I'm obviously approved by the budget. I'm going to get the best I can, but also recognize exactly that other side going, yeah, you're right. It's just all online, and my ministry's TikTok. How do you, number one, promote getting the best stuff, and at the same time, be okay, no, that's not right.
So this is an interesting thing because we're doing a lot of upgrades here, and it's been a decent discussion for us to look at upgrades and go, okay, does this advance the kingdom of God? What we're doing, or are we doing this to be showy? Because I'm going to bring up, Gateway and Hillsong and everything. And, church is a production now. United States Church, if you don't go and see a production, unless you're just directly pulled in by the Holy Spirit, you probably won't go the second time. The first thing that I look for, when I would look for churches, was worship. How was the worship? Because I was familiar with Gateway. And I was familiar with full-blown instruments and more contemporary Christian style, not gospel style, just kind of preference thing, right? So that you have to ask, is this advancing the kingdom of heaven? Is me purchasing all this equipment to put the absolute best quality of work out, the most time I invest in, is that allowing me to advance the kingdom of heaven? Or is me going on TikTok genuinely talking about things that I understand because I've gone and done the background research and I've talked to pastors and they've said, yes, this is acceptable, or I agree with this and that. And me going on TikTok, is that really my ministry? I'm not macking on anyone. If your ministry, I know you will, but if your ministry is TikTok, then your ministry is TikTok. I scroll, I go through TikTok. There are a lot of good, genuine, Christian TikTokers that genuinely they look at things, and they will often stitch or patch or take videos and be like, I'm going to show you biblical proof as to why this is or is not correct. And they walk you through it. And they actually explain, they say, hey, if you want more resources, here's information for you or whatnot. But just, I personally find that a more legitimate ministry than going, John 3:16, have a great day.
How do you, so what do you think, looking at those ministries you view as legit, what do you what's the difference then? Like, what's the difference, would you say, not in the foreground. Not in the foreground.
Yeah.
Not what is actually posted on TikTok.
Right.
But behind the scenes.
No, it's all a heart thing.
Okay.
But when you have your heart into something, people can tell. Mm-hmm. And I think that people are able to look at authenticity and look at someone putting on a mask. I think most often people are able to tell the difference. And so,
what do you think? So, looking at someone's personal life, okay?
Okay.
So, not as a viewer, but as someone looking at someone's life, what would you anticipate from those TikTokers where you're like, man, that is fantastic, to other ones where you're like, no. What would you, maybe you even know some TikTokers, what would you say is different about the person's life or lifestyles off camera that is, like you're saying, almost without being said, is in front of the camera then?
Yeah. The one that I would believe over the one that I would not believe is obviously how they act off camera. Mm-hmm. So let's say I know both of these people, right? And obviously, if the one who's high production or low production, either way, right. So it doesn't matter what kind of production they have, the one who's real is going to be actually acting these things out off of camera. They're going to be the same genuine human, kind of the same. I'm going to experience the same genuine connection with them. I feel like I'm going to experience the same thing off camera with them. I would hope that they would be pursuing the Lord just as much as they encourage anyone else. And then the one that I would believe less would be the one who would go around and kind of be like a one-day-a-week Christian.
Or basically just a TikTok Christian.
I've known a lot of one-day-a-week Christians, and it's, we love Jesus and we're raising our hands on Sundays, and then they go home and it is at each other's throats. And I've seen that, and it's
what role do you think?
Horrific.
What role do you think community plays in the difference?
Accountability. If you're in the community and these people know you and you're able to be vulnerable with these people, then they know that you're doing these things. So if I knew these people and I saw this person who was acting the entirely opposite way, and if I knew them in a community like a life group, I would hope that I would have the good relationship enough with them to be like, hey, I'm concerned about what you're doing here because I see this. And I just don't feel like it computes, So
you applied it to individuals and like TikTok ministries. I feel like I'm just old because I don't even get it. Like, I don't even know.
What, TikTok?
Yeah, no,
it's like Vine, but worse.
Vine was terrible and TikTok's worse.
Well, you're wrong, and then you're right. Yeah.
So you made the statement that you can almost you almost can tell, regardless of the quality, you can tell which one's more authentic and not. Do you think that applies in the production of church?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think so. And really for me, it's been, if I attend somewhere and I can really find, if I attend somewhere and there's nothing that stands out to me that makes me question what's going on, I feel like that's kind of my judgment right there. If I can personally find, I'll say that day's connection with Christ, which obviously wouldn't always be connecting with Christ.
But you're talking about if
I feel the Spirit, if I can genuinely feel the Holy Spirit, or I'm there and I'm in worship, or I'm listening to the message and I'm like, I completely wholeheartedly agree with a lot of this, and it's all backed by Scripture or whatnot, and like kind of going through like guidelines. I hate to say that guidelines, but it's like you got to have some sort of standard when you're going into this sort of thing and when you're expecting these sort of things.
But even off camera, so not necessarily the message, not the worship. Let's say they have a terrible worship team. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. Quality's
Scripture says, "Make a joyful noise upon the Lord."
So not a good noise.
Not a good noise.
But that goes back to the quality question, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying it's the heart. It's the heart set. Like, is your heart behind it to genuinely see people be reached by and to know Christ? Or is it to throw John 16 up now and then and virtue signal because you want a, not of this world sponsorship,
But Andrew, God does love the world.
God does love the world.
No matter what. And he loves me and he made me the way I am. Okay. So just drop it.
I mean, you're right.
Just drop it.
But okay.
So the other thought I have is, and you're 100% the wrong guy to ask.
Thanks.
Because no, I kind of want to ask though, and the reason you're the wrong guy is you're obviously in media production, all of that. Mm-hmm. So how would you advise a church of, I mean, honestly, like small communities, they're not gonna, whether it's a house church or a small community, they have zero budget to do anything.
I know, because my last church basically had zero budget. So.
Okay, so with that, how do you advise them to be in a world, how do you advise them to be in a world, like you said, is so technologically driven, and yet they're just like, but we can't. Like
they're hesitating because they can't afford anything, or they just don't know how to, or
all of the above. And I think that goes back to my original question. Do you think every church?
I think it goes back to praying about, well, how does the Lord want us to reach people? Mm-hmm. Are we supposed to be a technologically unadvanced church, which is totally okay? Mm-hmm. If you are reaching people, that is totally fine. Or are we supposed to go out and learn and take out a small business loan or something, or I don't know if there's a not-for-profit loan, but anyway, and like hire someone. I don't know. Like, I think you just have to pray, because the Lord's going to lead. Like, that's what he does. And so you have to pray, and you have to look at your organization and say, well, what's our heart behind this? Yep. What's the goal? And is this comfortable for us? Is this not? What has worked for us before? What hasn't? And go from there, see what the Lord says.
What role, excuse me, what role do you think, no, I gotta have a better segue. I was gonna jump into a completely different subject.
Segways are overrated, bro. Just go for it. Honestly.
They drive off cliffs.
They are so overrated. Like segways.
You heard about the owner driving off a cliff, right? It broke and he couldn't, and then it fell off.
The Segway owner?
Yeah, the
cliff broke?
No, the Segway broke and he drove off a cliff.
Why didn't he just get off the Segway? Like, it's just like, up, I'm off.
I don't know. I think it was too soon. I don't know.
Was he strapped in? Someone wanted that alimony money.
Okay. So, how do you, I have a few different directions. When I was the media director, one of the big things was like masculinity in the church. Mm-hmm. And by masculinity, I don't mean the patriarch. I don't mean any of that. I mean a lot of the Western church is set up to be, or has in the past, catering more toward women, whether it's the worship songs you sing, the backgrounds of worship slides, all of that. I don't know if that's it. Like, I've been out of the church media thing for a while.
I don't know if I've ever. I mean, I've noticed that we have more female-led worship songs now than I feel like we did when I was growing up.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I don't think there's a problem with that. Like,
and then
I haven't noticed really any sway one way or the other in media. Really, I don't think. I mean, like, you want colors in your visuals. It's interesting.
What's your philosophy with like, I know at our church we do the worship team is the background. Like, we have camera.
Yes.
Other churches have slides
or motion graphics.
Mm-hmm. Others have loops of video.
Right.
like live video. Like I remember one of our worship slides. It was terrible. I ended up deleting it. Okay.
I love stories.
Here's my pet peeve. Yeah. So we had a background loop for our worship where it was a girl, a lady, a grown woman.
Oh, it's one of these loops.
Worshiping.
They're so crazy.
With the ocean to her front, so we're looking at her back. Okay, and it's like waves coming in, and she's worshiping, and the wind would blow in such a way where her dress would do this, but then the loop would kind of like put it back down. I hated that loop. And there was one person who would be like, I just love the ocean. I'm like, delete that now. As your boss, you will delete that in front of my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
But here's
That's awful.
So this is what I'm talking about.
I would never have put that ever.
But at what point does the background, and I'm not even talking now about crazy
loops.
I was going to say like crazy Marilyn Monroe loop, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, not wrong.
So,
you're not right.
But I'm talking about at what point does art, and I love, like, don't get me wrong here, I love art, I love all that. At what point does we just want a high production value move over into the realm of distraction? And is that...
I think it's a very fine line. It entirely depends on your congregation, I think. It entirely depends on the precedent that's been set. But it also takes very fine-tuned skills, very tasteful operation. And again, it goes to, okay, are we advancing people's church-going experience by doing this? Or are we just trying to make a flashy production?
Is that why? Okay, so I think right now with the system you use, you're only outputting both to our screens into the live cast.
So it's the same thing that goes to our screens into the live feed. Yeah.
Right, and that I assume that is because you want people who are worshiping wherever that traveling at home to be able to see the worship team, right?
When I started, actually, the elders retreat was right after I started, or no, it was right before I started. And we were talking about like the online experience and everything like that. And one of the questions they asked me was like, why is it important for us to maintain the online presence, or like, why is it important for these upgrades and stuff? And I was like, because I want people who are at home to experience as much as they can of the in-person service at home. So hopefully they want to experience it in person and they will come. So that's part of why we have the same in-person experience as we do online. Because we used to not. We used to put, for example, scripture references used to be full screen graphics online. But that's also the same thing that shows up on our projectors in-house. So there's a couple of reasons as to why that's the same.
Are you looking at separating that out at any point?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because as someone who attends the church, it's just really distracting. Just kidding.
I'll go find literally a loop of Marilyn Manson's thing.
Marilyn
Manson? That is Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe, yeah.
Dude, I'm on like 4 hours of sleep, bro. Share with me a little bit, okay? I read an article about Marilyn Manson the other day. So,
isn't that where he got his name though? Marilyn, and then
it wasn't in the
Charles
article.
Manson.
It wasn't in the article.
What?
Where he got his name?
Yeah.
Can we go back to talking about Jesus, please? Not the devil.
No, hold on. No.
Oh.
I think that's how Marilyn Manson came up with his stage name was Marilyn Monroe
and Charles
Manson. Yeah.
I mean, if you see the way he dressed, it kind of makes sense.
Okay, one last question.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
Let's do 2 more questions so we can scrap the last one. That'd be
2 more questions. The other thing I was gonna ask you about, and I just had it. It was on the tip of my tongue, and this is really unfortunate because
the lips.
As those of you listening to this, if you just skip forward 10 seconds, I will have come up with it. Oh goodness. Being in. Dude,
hit that skip button one more time.
Yeah, just go ahead.
One more time.
I'm trying to think of other things that, large church, small church. Do you have any questions for me? Shoot.
What's for dinner?
This is so. I've never blanked.
I have that effect on people.
I usually.
So.
Well, how would you, what role does like, oh, okay, so this is actually a question then. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
No, this is perfect.
That's not what
This
we've
was
been doing
one of-
this entire
no.
time, but okay.
So one of the things that I had to struggle in and with, oh, okay. Yes, this is going to be a good one. So,
I thought I was like all over the place. Okay.
once upon a time, I was setting up our stage, you know, for people to stand and I would tape out where they're supposed to stand.
Mark 'em.
And speaking of evangelicals, so I had someone. He was one of our musicians. I'm like, hey, we're setting up for our online church, and you need lighting, all of that. You need to stand here. And he was like, but what if the Spirit leads, like moves, and I'm just like moving around, and I'm like, that's fine. The Spirit can move in this taped off area.
Yes.
And I ended up leaving the church over it. And so what is, I guess, how do you as a media director, as a creative arts director, your brain is going in so many different directions. You're, and you have both where people can stand, and then at the same time, you're also, or maybe it was just me, what they can wear.
100%.
So, for example, you can't wear
white on stage.
You can't wear white and red.
You cannot wear red.
Red
is
overblows
terrible on
the
camera.
yeah.
Red does not actually show up on the video color scale
Right.
properly. So red always looks wrong. Like you can look at red and be like, oh, that's red, but it always looks weird.
It looks
Red-
overblown.
Correct.
Yeah.
So burgundies show up well. Very light pinks show up okay.
Yeah.
But those react like white. I hate when people wear
So,
white. I don't
hold
like
on.
it. It overexposes them.
That and shadows.
Shadows are a pain as well, especially with lighting, especially when you use a lot of spot lights like we do. We have a lot of spots we can do effects with, and we can illuminate certain sections, like our baptisms. Like we have a baptism spot, which is great. Sometimes you have to do fill lights with spots, but they can only open up their aperture so much, and it's like, oh, okay, then we're stuck with that now. And then you deal with overexposure here and there. But yeah, shadows are...
So you're telling me that if I were to go up on stage, Andrew, you would have a say in where I stand and what I wear. That seems prohibitive as to what I feel like the Holy Spirit wants out of me.
I could have a say in where you stand and what you wear. I have chosen to, as much as those things bother me, ask you nicely to stand somewhere because this is what I have designed, and encouraged you not to wear certain colors because that is what the Lord would do. No, I'm just kidding. But
God told me to tell you.
God told me to tell you that white is gaudy and it's after Labor Day. Stop it. No, if I could give someone a guidelines of like this is what you do on stage, I would. But
Can you?
the word's gonna get shared one way or another. Like
Yeah.
On some of our worst services, we have the best altar ministry calls. It just the Lord's gonna work when you try to put too much work into it.
Like-
This is a fact because He's gonna humble you really quickly.
Right.
The weeks that we have the worst worship rehearsals, the worst Sunday morning run-throughs, everything goes wrong on tech, and then we don't have a live stream running, is the 1 week that we have 45 people come forward for prayer, and then like 35 people in new member class. I mean,
Yeah.
you get humbled, and you're like, it literally does not matter why you want to do all these things, because He is going to make something happen, but through you. So be excellent with your work, but be excellent for Him.
It's the idea of the loaves and fish, where okay, God, I'm gonna give you my best.
Yes.
Everything
gonna
I have,
multiply it.
and He's gonna do the rest.
Absolutely.
One last question. One last story, and then one last question. So we had the reason I bring up what people wear is we had a fella on our worship team who would wear skinny jeans, but they would be khaki skinny jeans.
I might see where this is going.
So that's where I would I feel like some people, this is where, okay, this is going to sound bad coming from a former like media director. There's mutual submission where the pastor has hired you, the elders have hired you to do a job. And you're going to do it to the best of what you know and what God has gifted you in, and that's where you go back to the discussion of like what someone wears and where they stand.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, like, what if the Spirit starts moving? I start moving over here, you know?
Right.
Or do I have to sing into the mic? Or do
Or can I sing from over
and then I want to wear my skinny khaki jeans and my crop top as a guy. So at what point, like this is a serious question though, at what point and you know, I think a lot of people, this is maybe a conversation just for me and you, and everyone else is like, I don't even think about any of this when I go to church.
Probably.
But
You're
it's
like, I just hit a button. That's all I do.
No, but it's like things that you and I you're looking at the big picture going, oh my goodness, okay. No, ever again. Okay. How do you lead someone? How do you lead someone and basically, you know, by lead, I mean, like there are times where you have to tell someone what to do, but also be led by the Spirit. And I guess how do you play that balance out?
I think it's situational.
Okay.
You know, from my experience and like when I have, you know, not fought the Spirit, obviously you don't want to fight the Spirit, you'll lose every time, has always been in service when you can't do anything about it. Typically you can't do anything about it, which is a good thing. He's like, I know you're not going to be able to do anything about this. I'm going to move now. You're going to sit there, be humbled, and the glory's going to go to me, which is okay. That's what it's supposed to, right?
Yeah.
But prior to service, I think there's a little bit of flexibility there. Because in my opinion, like if your mama wouldn't want to see that, there's probably something wrong. You know, like if I walk in and like if one of our worship team members one day showed up like that, I'd be like, well, where's Scott?
Yeah.
We got some problems going on. So
Well, it's the idea, like just recognizing, hey, wearing khakis, tan, flesh-colored things don't show up well
when you white
on.
blatantly.
Speaking of which, okay, another story. So
That's not a great segue there, bud.
it's not going to be a great story either.
Okay.
So we were doing a missions conference, and we had our Jamaican missionaries from Jamaica come in, and who are not white, and so
You don't say.
right. And so we have our lighting set, and it's for stage.
Sure.
And so he would walk out of the light and out of even down the stairs. He would completely disappear. But anything,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, anything that had any hint of
my
lighter
gosh.
color would still be, and it's like, where did he go? Where is he at? And so, but it's like, right, like thinking of different skin tones and how they pop on camera, how they show up, how they don't show up.
That's the thing is I'm concerned about so much on a Sunday morning and like throughout the week that it can be literally one thing that just makes me go, I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm tapping.
I am done. Someone else take control.
Yep.
I'm done. What, oh, Jesus, you already have control? Okay, well, bombs away! You know, like...
Right. Okay.
Anyway.
One last question, finally.
This is your ninth one last question.
No, but this is the question I've been wanting to ask. So
Okay.
It's the real last one. Why live stream as opposed to recorded and produced? Oops.
Because live stream provides a level of authenticity that recorded and produced doesn't. Because when you are in a live stream, you have people actually speaking to the congregation. And this is just my personal opinion. This is why I like it. But you have the pastor actually speaking to congregation. It's one thing during COVID, like the start of it, when you had to do a pre-produced service and then schedule it to publish because.
Yeah.
No one was attending church. So, right. So you could technically live stream that and just, have your staff in the congregation or whatnot. But I think it's just a level of authenticity, and it's the heart behind everyone wanting to be in community together at the same time, instead of let's put this out and they can watch it whenever they want, and we're just gonna go sleep the rest of the day,
Okay.
Hard thing again.
Yeah. I'm just curious. Thanks for hanging out.
You have another last question, don't you?
No, I don't.
I'm gonna walk out of here, and you'll be like, "We have one more question.
All right, come back.
We gotta restart the podcast. Start it over."
No, it's interesting. Like, I agree with like the majority of what you said. It's interesting because it's like, I think maybe where I disagree with you literally is only preference. Like, there's things where I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't even.
Right.
Which is going
to differ with everyone. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, you're not gonna be able to walk into another room without something else bothering your personal preference.
Oh yeah.
That's just who we are as human beings.
What's funny is, okay, so I'm like today, like Nate Steele today.
Yeah.
If I could be in a room with like 12 other people, like honestly, like our real life groups, I'm like, oh, that's my church.
No, like I want you to leave this room right now so I can nap.
No, but here's the deal. Yeah. No, here's the deal. Like I love that.
Yeah.
Yet, whenever I go to a new church, I'm always like, all right, what kind of signage do they have to the bathrooms? Oh, they don't have signs to the bathrooms. Okay, great. So nobody knows how to go.
Someone?
Yeah, so I have to ask someone. Or oh, wow. Oh, so they chose that color for that slide. Oh, okay.
So they chose Helvetica and not Futura. We know what they're like.
He's referring to fonts because
I think people know what Helvetica is.
You'd be surprised.
If they don't. Wrong.
So one of the pastors that I worked with swore upon Comic Sans.
No, I was hoping you would not say that.
And papyrus.
No.
Here's the deal, Andrew.
No.
You're not a Christian if you don't use papyrus. That is the biblical font. So
I had a professor who, if we wrote our scripts in Comic Sans, he would fail our project.
Well, yeah, because it's
so for our final project, everyone. Okay, so Courier knew 14 point is the official script writing. 12.
14.
14 point is the official screenwriting. Font.
Because it's
Courier. Not Courier knew.
Yep.
Because it's the same thing that typewriters type in.
Right, and it's what that creates is a page is about a minute of video.
A minute of screen time, exactly.
So you know how many...
Especially with layout,
Yep.
basically. So if you have 120 pages of script, you have a 2-hour film.
Yep.
Anyway, so we were supposed to write feature films for our final project, and everyone printed out 2 copies, and everyone turned in theirs with Comic Sans, and then after he failed us all, we turned in our actual projects. All in correct format. It was the greatest thing because you just saw him be like, he came in class, he was like, I don't like any of you. You're not going to graduate. And then we were just like, yeah, we were just kidding. Love you. Okay, bye.
Was there the one nerd, though, who's like, I did it correctly the first time?
Yes. Always, dude. Always. And then there's the one who's like, it was their idea. I had nothing to do with it. Then why'd you turn it in? Because it was funny.
Yeah. Because I still agreed with it.
I still agreed with the decision and just wish I thought of it first.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Dude, thanks for talking.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me on.
I love
Appreciate
talking with another media guy. And
I know. Sharing the stories is...
There's so many more stories.
So many stories.
Here's the other thing is there's so much blackmail as the media director that you have access to. It's fantastic. I love it.
Oh, I have so much blackmail. It's not even funny.
Thanks for coming on.
That probably should not have been the last thing I said. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. And that will be the last thing you say. All right. Goodbye.